welcome to the Wakim Report, where news matters. I'm your host, David Wakim. Tonight, we have a very special guest informing us on something we hope to achieve every day, the American dream. What does it mean? How has it changed? Is it still a possibility? This expert will inform us on how the American dream may be perceived from people immigrating to the United States, from war-ridden countries such as Afghanistan, to how it affected Japanese Americans during World War II, and how an average American working a low-income job during the night views the American dream. What do each of these individuals have in common? Let's find out as we welcome our guest to the show, Giselle Gove.
Thanks for having me, Dave.
It's a pleasure having you on the show. Let's cut right to the chase and get to the first question. Different Americans view the American dream in different ways, but to the average American, what does it mean?
I'm glad you asked that, Dave. The American dream really boils down to a couple of things. That's freedom, family, property, and that all means working hard for yourself.
So how might that be different for different people?
Well, people want different things, and it really depends on their upbringing. Someone who's lived here their whole life will have different aspirations from someone that's just moved here.
So let's further analyze that. What would someone who has worked here their whole life and possibly hates the machine that they feel is a broken working system tell an immigrant experiencing America for the first time? How do you think that immigrant would respond?
Well, thankfully, we have a pretty fitting example of that in the poem Night Waitress. The narrator, unfortunately, has a pretty dismal outlook on her average American life. So, to answer your question, Dave, what she would say to a new immigrant would be that if you think you can just move into America and live your ideal American dream, you're wrong.
That's pretty harsh, don't you think?
Well, thankfully, that's not everyone's outlook. For instance, Baba, from the novel The Kite Runner, would say that America is the land of opportunity. And even though he had to work a low-income job and didn't necessarily get to live out the America of his dreams, he made sure that there was a way for that to happen for his son in his future.
That's very interesting. Now, I want to ask you, has there ever been a time when the American dream was unachievable because of steps the government took on its citizens?
Oh, for sure. In 1941, the United States government imprisoned hundreds of thousands of Japanese Americans during what would be called the Japanese internment. To them, their American dream was squashed and never realized because of the government. Many people never achieve the American dream and blame the government. But it's usually not the government's fault, except in cases like the Japanese internment. The night waitress would look at this situation and say there was nothing the Japanese could do about it, besides hope and dream for it to get better one day. But Baba would look at this situation and say it only proves that the American dream is real and tangible. He'd argue that just because the path is difficult doesn't mean the path isn't there. Even though both of them struggled, they had different outlooks.
You know, that is an excellent analogy. Just a couple more questions and then I'll let you go. Are there any negative aspects to the American dream? Have they had an impact on people's culture and faith?
Well, of course there are a lot of sacrifices. And unfortunately, it can lead to a lot of disillusionment of who the immigrant family really is. Are they Americans now, or are they supposed to be proud of where they came from? It's well known that America is known as the melting pot. But unfortunately, like I just said, when the immigrants come to the United States, they end up conforming more than trying to be uniquely from their heritage. For instance, the Japanese family in When the Emperor Was Divine, when they came over, they actually put up a painting of Jesus in their home to appear to be more American. Another instance in The Night Waitress, the narrator ends up saying how she feels disconnected from her Catholic faith, and throughout the rest of the poem, it's very sad and she's very disillusioned because of it.
Wow, that's really unfortunate. Is there anything else you'd like to add, Giselle?
Well, yeah, I do, actually. The American dream has been taken away from a lot of people before out of, fear of them retaliating. Think the Japanese internment. So, if you're an American today, seize the opportunity you have and go out and make a difference in the world. Don't take the words of the night waitress where she seems disillusioned and in fear of making a difference. Be like Baba and go out and make a difference in the world. So, not everyone has this chance. You have to seize it.
Wow, that's amazing, Giselle.
Thank you.
Thank you for being on the show. That has been the Wakim Report. Catch us Black Days at 8:25 a.m.